Shout out to G-Man Boxing.
Alright, so Joe Joyce knocks out Carlos Takam, or stops Carlos Takam, I should say. He didn't knock him out in 6 rounds. Let's get into this fight. So, I expected this fight to kind of go a similar path to how it went. I didn't expect the premature stoppage, which is what happened. But I expected Takam to be competitive early on, and for Joyce to maybe... You see, when I look at this fight, I see an older Takam. I see a Takam who has a bit more miles on the clock. But I also see a style there and dimensions on Takam. So Takam is 6'1", easily the shortest person Joe Joyce has faced. But he does have he's very long arms for his height, very long reach. He's got an over 80-inch reach, just Carlos Takam. And you could see that Takam, the shots he was throwing at Joe Joyce and the head movement specifically early on, were giving Joe Joyce some bother. You know, he was walking onto an overhand right repeatedly. The Takam was throwing. The Takam's not the biggest puncher at heavyweight. Nevertheless, you don't want to be taking them shots consistently. So right hand after right hand, getting hit with that consistently, it's not a good look. There was times where it almost looked like Joe Joyce was getting... would overwhelmed be the word to use? Not overwhelmed in terms of what was coming, what was happening. But when Takam would open up, it was like Joyce didn't know what to do. The jab he was kind of throwing a very one-dimensional kind of pace. You know, his jab is very good, but he was just kind of popping it out there. There was no feints. He needed to do something to get Takam kind of offset, and he wasn't doing that. He did in the third round come out and assert himself a bit more. It was still kind of a nip and tuck round, but he did manage to buzz Takam near the end of the round when he opened up a combination on him. And again, from then, fight just went back into a similar kind of pace. You know, it was Takam trying to land overhand rights, Takam moving his head, Joyce trying to keep it at long range. Just the typical Joe Joyce, looking very novice, looking very raw, moving around the ring. He's definitely not the fastest heavyweight you'll ever see. He's not the most sophisticated heavyweight you'll ever see. I always call him a diamond in the rough because he really does. He doesn't look like much, but it works. You know, that style has given him plenty of success as an amateur. It's made him mandatory challenger for WBO, a heavyweight. So for me, Joe Joyce, certainly, you know, that style that he has, he may look clunky, it works. Started the 6th round. Immediately Takam got hurt with a left hook, and he was noticeably hurt. Joyce jumped on him, threw a lot of shots. Some of them were getting through, some of them weren't. Takam, for my money, he was definitely hurt. Joe Joyce was opening up quite heavily on him. He was on the verge of going down when referee Steve Gray, who normally is quite a good referee to be fair, jumped in, stopped. The Takam immediately protested the stoppage. I can't really say that I blame him. You know, a stoppage like that, whilst he was definitely hurt, whilst he was shifting some heavy punishment, this was a competitive fight. This was a fight in which Carlos Takam hadn't even touched the canvas yet. This was a fight in which Carlos Takam was not taking a beating. He was having success with regularity in this fight. So when I see a stoppage like that, where the guy, yes, he's buzzed, yes, he's taking some shots, but this is a note. This is a guy who's no. Actually, speaking of, was it not Steve Gray who was refereeing the Anthony Joshua fight who stopped it prematurely, or was that Victor Locke? It was one of them anyway. But it's not the first time it's happened to Carlos Takam. Personally, I felt referee should let it go on a bit longer. If he went down, if he took a knee, so be it. At least give him a chance to get through it. At the end of the day, Joe Joyce, being a very big man, he was exerting a lot of energy in throwing those shots at Carlos Takam, so there was always a chance that Joe Joyce could have potentially punched himself out. Me personally, I think that Steve Gray should have let Carlos Takam go on a bit longer. He has every right to feel aggrieved. I don't like seeing... We see a lot of stoppages like that these days, and it's certainly in the UK, and I don't like seeing them because it does leave you kind of scratching your head saying, really? Did you really need to do that? Really? You know, so Joe Joyce now retains his mandatory, you know, challenger status for the WBO. Picked up a WBC silver title. I was wondering why he wasn't using fly gloves, because he was using Salvador gloves, which I only found this out. They're made by a company called MXN. Now, I've used MXN gloves before because they used to make their own gloves, you know, back in like 2014, 2015. They're a punter glove. They're very, very much a punter. They're actually a very good glove. You used to actually place your order on Instagram to get them. I think the guy's name was Nick. He was based in Spain. These were the gloves Joe Joyce was using, and I wondered myself, why the hell is Joe Joyce using this, and why are all the fighters on this card using these Salvador gloves? Because yeah, they're a good glove, but Joe Joyce uses flies. WBC title was on the line, a silver WBC title, hence the reason why he's not using flies, because the WBC have banned flies for some reason. I don't know why. They were saying that the foam and the glove doesn't appear to be right. I mean, I've 2 pairs of fly gloves. I'll say they are training gloves, but they feel like any other glove. If anything, like I've got a pair of Everlast MX, and they'd be a bit more dodgy than I would say flies would be. But God knows, the ones I have are 2 years old, so they could have changed since then. Joe Joyce wins, moves on. He needs some people I've seen already say Joe Joyce, is terrible. Yeah, he's got rid of Takam. I think like you need to look at the styles point of view. Joe Joyce in there with someone who was significantly shorter than him, who was able to offset his rhythm by head movement. He didn't really seem to warm into the first few rounds. I think that someone like an Anthony Joshua play a lot more into Joe Joyce's strengths. As in my opinion, that would, because I think that he needed to get used to Takam's angles, to adjust, the head movement. Takam was actually kind of stepping out of range a little bit and then stepping into throws overhand right where he was having success from. So I look at this and I say, do you know what, maybe it was a bad style matchup. Again, we see against Brian Jennings, Joe Joyce had a lot of issues against someone who was moving around, who was using a bit of head movement. Takam was also going to Joe Joyce's body as well, which is a very good idea from Carlos Takam, because Joyce appears to have a bit of a weakness there. So for me, I look at this and I say it might have been more a style issue than necessarily Joyce not being that good. I've always rated Joyce and I stand by it. He is going to do some damage, definitely. That's my thoughts on this. Let me know yours in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, helps your boy out. Subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. Look at that up there. Yeah, there you go. Takes 2 seconds. You could have subscribed and all by now. I'll leave you with that. Hope you enjoyed the video. Smash the like button again on the way out. Peace.